Beloved heart, before we begin, I have a special gift for you. If you've been feeling the intensity of Earth's rising plasma light codes and want to stay centered in your body and heart and energy field, I've created a free light language quantum grounding activation just for you. This transmission will help you stabilize, integrate, and align with the new frequencies flowing onto the planet. Simply join my mailing list. See the link that's in the show notes to receive instant access. Let's ground into the light together.
This is the transfiguration of the new you. Hello, beloved. Welcome back to another episode. Things are moving super fast, at least in my world, it feels like that way. So, if you're really feeling out of sorts or different these days, I want to share a special topic with you in regards to the strange symptoms you may be experiencing in a timeline shift. Um, and so I'm just going to share like the top 5 signs that you may be undergoing, some timeline shift. Now, timelines are really about realities and what we, choose at this time, decisions we make. And there's an infinite amount of timelines. So there's always a timeline of which one is the highest probability of occurring into a new reality in itself. I'm grateful that you're here for this another episode to join me for this topic. I always love to share topics like this, especially with a lot of the human resonance chart has really been spiking so much, almost like on a daily basis. And so I've been posting a lot about this in my social media in regards to the messages that I receive in the moment when these spikes do occur and they do um, reflect our world and what we're experiencing and certain symptoms as well. And I'll probably touch some more on this in another episode as well. So today we're diving into a topic that many people are quietly experiencing, yet few fully understand these timeline shifts. So have you ever woken up one day and felt like something was different? And it's not that it's necessarily wrong, different. It just feels like something is different or something is um, not the way it was. I felt this many times personally myself, which is why I want to share this with you. So your relationships feel like unfamiliar, your interests suddenly change, and even places you've known for years can seem like slightly altered, almost like reality has adjusted itself overnight. And, I've had these like really strange, like vivid dreams as well. And I wake up and it's almost like I feel like there's been a timeline shift even when it comes to like dreams, because in those dreams that we are also living other different realities as well, or releasing other timelines that the potential of other timelines that could have occurred as well. And that's how I feel usually when I wake up from these dreams because they're so vivid, so clear. And they're all so random, in most cases. So, no, you're not losing your mind. And no, Mercury isn't solely responsible at this time for anything or any planet that is in retrograde. They can't blame. Honestly, well, a lot of planets are direct right now. But we just had, Uranus going to Gemini, which is 7 year cycle. I just did a whole episode on this, so check it out if you haven't. Um, but it just really changes our whole perception, which is connected to our information, new information that we get, our communication, download of information. Like a lot of our reality is also based on our perception as well. So, what you may be experiencing is what many refer to as, the timeline shift. So now, before we get too carried away, it's important to stay grounded, whether you view this as metaphysical, psychological, or neuroscience, or simply a poetic way of describing major personal transformation. The experience can feel incredibly real. But I usually like to bridge all of this together through the neuroscience of things and the metaphysical and the mysticism and the spirituality. The language may vary, but the underlying process, is a profound shift in perspective and direction. It's something many people genuinely encounter. So today, we're exploring the strange symptoms of this timeline shift in top five signs that your reality may be reorganizing itself. So, what is a timeline shift? A timeline shift is often described as significant change in your life path, your perception, and energetic alignment. It is as though you stepped onto a new track or a new road, one that better reflects who you're becoming, your new frequency. Sometimes these shifts happen gradually, and other times they arrive like these cosmic plot twists or turning points that nobody asked for. So it's like a catalyst point. A relationship ends unexpectedly, for example. A career no longer fits, or a career even ends unexpectedly as well. Your priorities completely rearrange themselves, and suddenly the version of you that once felt familiar begins to dissolve. And that can feel exciting, but it can also feel like overwhelming or deeply unsettling. So, because transformation rarely sends a calendar invitation first, these have been some major catalyst transformational states that can come unexpectedly. And that's really where the Uranus planet does come in. Sometimes could be sudden changes like this, which are transformational. So, getting into these top five signs, the first one is your old life no longer fits. This is often the very first indication that routines and habits and conversations and environments that one felt comfortable now feel restrictive. So you may notice yourself saying things like, why am I still doing this? Or this doesn't feel like me anymore, or something has changed. And you're right, something has shifted. As consciousness expands, which is really where the electromagnetic energy of all of this, the spikes that you see in the human resonance chart, often connected to the solar flares of the sun. But there's other cosmic energies that works as well that is also being where the planet is receiving all of it, and all of us are part of that too. So as our consciousness expands, which is all connected to our consciousness, right? And as we are expanding in consciousness, old structures naturally begin to fall away. So what once aligned with a previous version of you may no longer resonate with who you're becoming. And this can create a temporary discomfort because the familiar is fading while the new has not fully like arrived just yet. It's almost like going through a reset or a death and a rebirth as well. So these are some other perspective ways of looking at it. And this can, of course, create, that discomfort. It's like wearing shoes, right, that used to fit perfectly well, and you get so comfortable with them, and only that you realize that, they're already worn out and it's time for like something new, and there's no way to really, put it back together. So they're just no longer usable. So that just means that in this analogy is that you've spiritually outgrown something, or that your frequency has shifted into a different taste, different frequency taste, in other words. So these are like cosmic blisters are, pretty much. So the second sign, relationships begin to shift. Now, this is one of the most common, things to notice as well, where your relationship is shifting as well. Not everyone is meant to be to accompany you into every chapter. So yeah, we can look at these as chapters as well. As your values and your boundaries and your priorities evolve, certain relationships may naturally drift. Some connections deepen while others may dissolve. You may feel less interested in surface level conversations, and you may crave authenticity over familiarity. People who once felt essential may suddenly feel energetically incompatible. This doesn't necessarily mean anyone is wrong or that there's anything bad, with this. It just simply means that alignment is changing. And while that can be painful, it also creates, a a space for relationships that truly reflect your current frequency. So, yeah, it could be painful, could be heartbreaking as well. Rose has a way of updating your contact list pretty much. It's like a cosmic contact list upgrade. And so the sign number three, the synchronicities multiply. So if you've been seeing a lot of numbers, repeating numbers significantly, this is part of it. When you're shifting into this whole new phase of life, synchronicities often seem to increase dramatically. There's repeated numbers, there's unexpected encounters, there's perfectly timed opportunities, and book, messages, or conversations, or even music that arrives exactly when you need it. Now, whether you interpret synchronicity as divine guidance, a pattern recognition, or a beautifully strange coincidence, which, coincidence, there really is no coincidence or accidents and things. Things have their own divine order and things, even though it may appear as chaotic, but there is a divine order to all things. The impact can be undeniable. So it often feels as though life is responding directly to your inner transformation. As Carl Jung, who was a famous psychologist or psychiatrist, he famously explored meaningful coincidences can serve as markers of psychological and spiritual integration. Beloved, if you're craving deeper connection, intuitive expansion, and consistent energetic support, join me inside the Frequency Resonance Lounge. This is a monthly Master Heart Circle, moon ceremonies that includes the full and new moon, and a private community for connections. Link is in the show notes. So, when the outer world begins mirroring your inner evolution, pay attention. Reality has an excellent timing, which is divine timing, usually better than our own human timing. And the fourth thing from this top five signs, your desires suddenly change. So, this one can catch people off guard because you may have had goals for years that suddenly lose their appeal or their momentum. And dreams that once motivated you no longer feel meaningful. Something has really shifted inside. And, at the same time, entirely new passions can emerge seemingly out of nowhere. You may feel called toward different work, relationships, creative pursuits, or ways of living. And this is an inconsistency. It's more like a recalibration, I will call it. Your desires are often among the first indicators that your inner world is shifting. And when your inner world changes, your outer world life eventually follows. It's rather inconvenient for 5-year plans, for instance. So lately I've been feeling more of this flow. So I just been setting more like a short-term intentions, which you can call your goals if you want. But really where I've been really using the word intention because I've noticed that, since 2020, when the energy frequency really started to pick up, and it really picked up even more in 2025 in an accelerated way, meaning that the pulsating frequency of the earth is really vibrating. I've really been feeling it a lot more, and I'm sure many of you have as well. But the reason why I started to use intentions more rather than goals is because I really felt um, that things were changing so fast, when it came to sudden transformations, that I left it open to also the universe providing other means that would be best for my own highest timeline and the highest timeline of others. And so that's really why I use more of the word intention, is to also be open to the flow of where the universe says that this is how it's going to manifest and appear in my life, in my own outcome, and being open to that flow with how it wants to present itself, because the universe knows what's best, um, in alignment with our own soul contract and our soul agreements that we've made as well in our own soul evolution of experiences. So it's, a combination of many factors involved in all of this. So it could be a 5-year intention plan, let's just say. And this is not to say that, nobody's going to be held accountable in any way or that you're, going to do a spiritual bypass also. It's just being aware, having that discernment as well and just being realistic too. So, and also like not forcing things if they're not really working out the way they should, like trying to force, certain people in your life, and if it's not meant for you at that time, it's not a bad thing. It just means that something has really shifted in frequency within yourself, um, and eventually, that person may actually um, catch up to that at some point when it is their time for their own divine timing of their own divine evolutionary. So the last thing, number five. Reality feels slightly unfamiliar, so perhaps the strangest symptom of all. You may experience moments where familiar places seem like different, and I've been experiencing a lot of this. Almost could feel like deja vu sometimes, and also could feel different in some ways. So it just feels like this is no longer, my resonant place pretty much. And so conversations can also feel surreal. You can have moments of surreal, moments like, is this really real? Or am I really here? Or am I in another dimension, another planet? Because that's sometimes what it feels like, that we're like in a completely different planet. And because I really do feel that things have shifted so much for us individually, but also collectively. Time appears to speed up or slow down for some. Your memories may feel distant as though they belong to another version of you. And I've been observing this so much actually that when I remember, um, my experiences from this lifetime, they do feel so distant, like a past life, pretty much. Um, and this can, deeply feel disorienting as well. But often it's simply the mind adjusting to rapid internal transformation. When your perception changes, reality appears to change with it, because in many ways it does. Not necessarily because the universe has rewritten its code overnight, but because your relationship to it has evolved. And that's no small thing. Um, so those are the top five. We're so used and conditioned, right, to have being wired for stability. So even positive change can feel threatening to the nervous system and unsettling to the ego, because that's really where a lot of our fear can stem from, is the old, versions of the ego itself, or, the shadow aspect of the ego, bringing up doubt or bringing up fear. Because when you're about to go through a major breakthrough, that's when you can start to feel a lot more doubt creep in as well, and on motivation as well. And part of you wants this expansion. And I would say that part of you is coming from your own soul and your heart, your authentic soul and heart. Another part wants, predictability to be this, predictable timeline, but there really is no predictable timeline right now. A lot of predictions are made, based on the timeline that they feel the most strongest, resonant, being in its highest probability. And every single channel and every person who channels predictions or psychics or whatever is going to have their own perception and their own filter, which is why discernment is so key and so important for you, to what resonates to you. So during periods of transformation, both impulses can coexist, and this is normal. The discomfort isn't evidence that something is wrong. It's often evidence that something important is changing. So, how do you navigate in this timeline shift? First, it's so important that you stay grounded and that you drink plenty of water, that you rest most of all, that you keep a journal to yourself and take down any notes that you receive, any download of information you may all of a sudden receive. You could do it as a daily basis as well, to share, keep it as your diary as well. Talk to your guides, through your journal and automatic writing. Maintain routines that support your well-being. Second, resist the urge to force clarity immediately. And some transitions reveal themselves slowly. You can seek help from others who you resonate with. It could be your mentor, it could be your own personal channeler, someone you feel resonance to. And the third thing is to trust what is leaving. Anything misaligned will naturally loosen its grip. And finally, allow yourself to become unfamiliar to yourself. Growth often requires releasing the identity you once relied upon. So, a word of discernment here. While the concept of timeline shift can deeply be meaningful, it is also important to approach it with wisdom. Not every unusual experience is going to be so, mystical, and sometimes you're just evolving. Sometimes you're stressed, sometimes you simply need a nap. Discernment is spiritual maturity. The goal isn't to escape reality, like I was saying, spiritual bypassing. It isn't to not be accountable for anything, that you're responsible for making a choice on. Um, and the goal is to engage with it more consciously. So be intentional and be conscious of it, be aware, um, pretty much, and pretty much expect the unexpected. And as a closing reflection, if you've been experiencing these strange symptoms, know that you're not alone, for one. You may be entering a new season, a new chapter, and one that requires a different version of you, a wiser version, a braver, courageous version of you, and a more authentic version of you as well. The old timeline served its purpose, but you were never meant to remain where you no longer resonate because change is inevitable. It will come one way or another. So ask yourself, what am I being invited to release? What am I being called to become? And what new reality is waiting for my full participation? Thank you so much for joining me today. And if this episode resonated with you, be sure to subscribe for one on my YouTube channel. Leave a review on my podcast, platforms if you're listening to this on one of my podcasts, and share with someone who may be navigating their own powerful transformation at this time. So until next time, I trust the unfolding, honor your evolution, and keep choosing the timeline that reflects your highest truth and your authenticity. Take care. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to click like, save, and share with others so they can also experience what you just experienced. And stay tuned for some more high vibe episodes. And I'll be connecting with you in the next quantum field. Sending you so much love.